here each and every week to make sure that you have all the information that you need to make wise health decisions, not just for yourself, but also for your family and even for your community. And we're here for you. So we want to make sure that you put all your questions and comments in the chat, because this is like a two-way street. We enjoy hearing from you. And like I said, we are here to answer your questions. So we got to know what they are. So don't be shy. Type them in the chat as we move through. And also, especially for those who are joining for the first time, we ask you to hit that like button on Facebook and the subscribe button on YouTube, because we want you to join the Be Health Empowered family. And for those of you who always roll with us, you know that I can't do this by myself. As a matter of fact, I have to have my two fantastic co-hosts with me, Miss Lila Mays, Mr. Wayne Bruce, who, by the way, tonight have taken over and made this into a producer show.
Yeah. We taking over.
We got to do it.
We got to do it, Dr. MEL. It's what we do. It's what we do.
We need to talk about all the amazing empowerment nuggets folks got this year.
Yeah. Absolutely. And not just folks. I mean, I learned a lot. You know, I mean, we got some couple favorite clips of mine thrown up in here too. We gonna just do a whole recap. We're gonna have our little commentary as we go along, and we want you to throw your comments and thoughts and questions in there too.
We need everybody's everything. You know what I'm saying? We need everybody's everything tonight.
It's a gumbo. It's a gumbo. We doing gumbo tonight. End of year gumbo.
End of year gumbo. Dr. MEL, you know I'm trying to get it straight on the side of the technical side, because I enter as always. If anybody wants to enter,
one of these days we're gonna have to bring the intern on camera.
We're gonna next season we're gonna bring the intern on camera. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
So what we got?
What we got? So tonight's producer show, we're going to take the best of the best, or at least the best of what I thought was going on, because I'm the producer and I'm not used to being called.
If you agree with what we show, you know, attribute it to, excuse me, doctor. If you don't like it, blame Wayne.
Oh, that's so wrong. That's so wrong, Dr. MEL. That's so wrong.
But I think everybody's gonna love it.
I think everybody's gonna love it. This year, what I'm proud of the show is that we focused a lot on men. And that, you know, like me being, you know, just the only man on set, you know what I mean? Like, I felt a great love and respect for what you guys have come up with, shows you guys have come up with. And I mean, my heart goes out to most of these shows are really hard to come up with, Dr. MEL, and you've done a great job. You've just done a great job. So, you know.
Well, thank you. You know, it's a team effort. And when we talk about men, yeah, I mean, men have specific health needs, and we try to surface those that we know sometimes are particularly challenging, or some that are actually really quite fun to talk about, like the first one I think that you have teed up.
Yeah, we talking about friendship here, you know, and how it relates to our mental health and everything. And the first clip features my man Curtis Cook from the Chi TV show, and Marquise W. Harris from numerous TV shows, and he's on The Bandits on Netflix currently. So if you're watching that, check out Marquise and everybody. So let's go to the first clip. All right?
All right. Something you both said in different ways was, Marquise used the word mirror, and you said another side of me. And so it sounds like you see yourself in each other, right? So maybe Can you share a moment where your friendship really kind of got you through a tough time emotionally? And we'll start with Curtis.
Oh my goodness. When hasn't it? Um
Yeah, right. You can see if you can pick
uh
one.
right. So I mean, in this business, there's a, like everybody knows, there's hills and valleys, hills and valleys. And
Mhm.
and we're men of certain age, right? And sometimes you get to a point where you honestly feel like, when is it possible? Can it happen? And
Mhm.
in the course of that, you still have responsibility as a husband and a father, that you have to take care of your family. So that pressure even gets heavier on you, right? And my wife is
Mhm.
very understanding, but sometimes it's like, maybe because she's not in the business, she doesn't fully understand how hard, or how heartfelt, and how heavy it is inside, right?
Mhm.
Um, and this is before I had a therapist, and so it'll be times where you just wanted to vent about why things weren't happening, and it wasn't as if Marquise would have the answers. He wouldn't be like, "Well, it's not happening." He'd be like, "Yeah," and sometimes it would just be the, "Yeah, why isn't it happening? I don't know. We did this, and then by the end of that, we would have like a little checklist of things. Well, you know what? Let's try this then the next time. Oh, you
Right.
did that? Okay, I'm gonna try that too. And then it would just move the ball, the piece just a little forward. You know what I mean? Every time. And so
Mhm.
I know that sounds, it could sound trite, right? The business and all of that, but this is my life. This is what I've
Mhm.
always done. So when it feels as if you're not making any headway or moving in a certain way, it could feel as if I've 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 I failed. I haven't um, achieved or supported the people that needed to be supported. And to have someone, another black man, a friend, a brother, to say, you know what, hey, it's gonna be all right, bro. Look, it didn't happen. Let's go.
Yeah.
What we gonna do? What we gonna do? Let's do something else.
Right.
It's really important to me. So that's I
Right.
know that's a small tough time, but that was
That's tight.
Yeah. I mean,
Just to
when
have
you
a
talk
friend.
about, yeah, when you talk about mental wellness, that role of friendship and vulnerability, and just knowing that there's somebody else carrying the same burden you're carrying is just so empowering. And like he said, it lifts a weight off of you
Yeah.
for sure.
You
For
know,
sure.
go ahead, Lie.
No, go ahead, Wayne.
You know, older men, we have these stereotypes. Like sometimes that we can't get in friendships. Lie. I think your friend who was on the show,
Dr. Spears.
Dr. Spears. That's what, sometimes I'm gonna get tongue tied here. But Dr. Spears actually said it best. I mean, he talked about that. Lie, you had the question too.
Dr.
Oh, okay.
Spears, you mentioned that when you used to work in, I'll say law enforcement or the judicial system,
yes.
there were there was someone who said vulnerability is weakness or felt like weakness. So to that point, there are probably a lot of young men period, who feel socially or culturally that they can't be expressive or vulnerable or soft in their friendships. And I just wanted to come back around to that. You talked about sort of modeling behavior and being a mentor to those young people, but how do older men sort of get out of that if they're stuck in this, I can't be expressive or transparent with my friends?
Yeah, well, hopefully there's someone in their lives who will, push back against that narrative.
Mhm.
But if they're not, I find that at some point we begin to look for solutions to our problems, and when the problems become very heavy, we will begin to consider solutions that we never thought that we would before.
Okay.
So I would hope that there are people in their lives, oftentimes the men who I see in my practice or on campus who are struggling in this way, I would say 50% of the time they come is because of a relationship issue. And then we get to understanding what's not connecting in the relationship, because there is a fear of being too emotional, too open, and too vulnerable. We get to go there. But for those, who may not have access, I would say we always have access to something.
Yeah.
And so I would say, in your support system somewhere, there's got to be at least one person that you feel that you can trust. And to start with that one person.
Wow. So I have
That's good. That was good stuff.
Good stuff.
That was really, that whole show was just nugget after nugget. Just watching men, but watching our brothers, Black men, express their love for each other, their wellness check-ins, all of that. That was a great show.
Yeah. And he talked about, Dr. Spears talked about trust, right? And just the role that plays in friendship and vulnerability. But oftentimes when we go into a healthcare setting, that's another place where we have to be vulnerable and trust, especially in a place that might not have historically been a place that we saw as a trustworthy institution, right? And I think this next clip, right, Wayne, is talking about how can healthcare providers help build trust in the healthcare system. The famous, Tuskegee study for the treatment of syphilis or lack thereof that Black men did not get in that study. They did not get treated for syphilis. They just got observed. So care was withheld when it really should have been given. And it's not just that historical trauma, but also real life experiences in the present. So how can systems and individual doctors rebuild trust with Black men so that they feel welcome, so that they know that is a trusted partner in their health?
Correct. So trust comes through, as we know, through respect and transparency, and persistent respect and transparency. And we have a system that historically wasn't transparent, historically wasn't respectful to people of color, historically brutal to people of color, and not transparent. So that is a system that's set. And we're not doing the blame, we're just putting facts out there. So when a person of color goes to the doctor and they have an encounter where someone is not transparent or talks down. So point one, in the healthcare system, physicians need to make time to listen and come with empathy to people of color. That builds trust. Show some respect, show some understanding of a person's culture. That builds trust, and respect them. Listening for 10 minutes is better than lecturing for 30. It's more effective. Hey, find out how that person landed there, listen to that, and then correct, versus labs and stuff. So respecting the people we take care of as a healthcare system, being transparent, communicating effectively are things that the healthcare system needs to work on. And then on the male side, is finding someone, seeking that person. People don't date the first person and marry that person. They date multiple people before they get married. But in the healthcare system, men, more so than women, they give it one and done. They date one person, it didn't work out, and I'm done. And who suffers from that? The man suffers, the woman in his life, and his family. So the devil wins when you shut out the healthcare system. And it doesn't hurt the healthcare system. It's a multi-billion-dollar system that lives without or with Black men.
Yeah. I have, like a series of 10 questions. The devil wins.
The devil wins.
Man.
I mean, that brother Kester Cross, Dr. Kester Cross.
Dude.
Yeah.
Doc has so many nuggets. He has so many nuggets, and I forgot this one. I had to write it down. I keep a running journal on the show. Listening for 10 minutes is better than lecturing for 30.
Right.
Just listen to your patient, listen to your partner, listen to your friend, listen to your child. Listen first.
Yes, that is so key. Yeah, you're right. That's like across all relationships. Absolutely. There's this thing in medicine and in social work and any person facing position called motivational interviewing, but it's really about listening and listening to the person's priorities, and then helping to put their priorities first in helping them do behavior change towards their health, right? And to that end, listening, like you said, listening for 10 minutes is better than lecturing for 30.
Come on now.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I missed
That's
that the
good.
first time.
That's a word. That's a word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll
But I
preach.
love how he ended with, it's on you as the healthcare consumer to
Right.
consumer shop, right? Like you would
Right.
do it with any other service or any other good that you're purchasing, to not marry the first person you date. Keep going, be proactive. That's what we talk all about here on Excuse Me Doctor, is about being proactive when you navigate the healthcare system, and especially in choosing a doctor.
I think that's so important. And I know for myself, for a long time, particularly when I was in the HMO system, I've always felt that it was one-stop shop. This is just one and done. Whoever's assigned to you, that's what it is. But maturing is understanding that no, you get to advocate for yourself and find a good fit
Right.
for whatever doctor you're looking for.
Because you're paying the money.
Right.
Like we
Right.
are paying for stuff. We don't
Yeah.
go in to the grocery store and they say they go to bread, go get the bread, right? We go in the
Right.
grocery store, we shop, where's my wheat zone or whatever the brand might be,
Right.
or the style might be, and
Gluten-free,
select what we want.
multigrain,
Yeah.
sourdough.
Select what we
Right.
want. Gluten-free,
Exactly.
gluten-free.
Yeah.
Select what we want. Healthcare is the only thing where we think doctors, excuse me, Dr. Mel, I don't mean doctors like you, but we give doctors more credence, or the system, because somebody's in the system, not necessarily that they're a doctor, because we'll give the check-in person just more credence than what we would do in finding bread. That's a negative.
Well, I think, yes, absolutely. So that whole thing about being empowered when it comes to seeking out healthcare, but also being empowered when it comes to our life choices, and realizing
Right.
sometimes that the chronic disease diagnoses that we get can be managed and even reversed with some empowered choices, right? And so, is that what we're about to talk about next, Brian?
Yeah. I mean, look, everybody out there that's got pressure problems, this next one's for you.
For me, Dr. Mel, I love this next one because it's simple, free, and doable. A new study shows that keeping a regular bedtime can actually lower your blood pressure, almost like cutting sodium or adding an extra workout.
Yeah, and it's amazing because people whose bedtimes only varied by about 7 minutes, that was what it was in the study, they saw their blood pressure, the top number, that systolic blood pressure, drop by about 4 to 5 millimeters of mercury, and the lower number, called the diastolic number, dropped by 3 to 4 millimeters of mercury, with the biggest drops happening at night. And that nighttime blood pressure drop is really key, because that's when a lot of heart attacks and strokes happen. And so by lowering your nighttime blood pressure, you can drop your risk of heart attack and stroke by 10%.
Wow. So basically, consistency matters as much as duration. Not just getting sleep, but getting it around the same time every night. I try to get in bed about 9:30, 10 every night. Okay.
That's good. And it works because our bodies run on an internal clock. You might have heard the term circadian rhythm. And if we keep bouncing around with our bedtime, that rhythm gets thrown off. It messes up with the natural dip in blood pressure that's supposed to happen while we sleep.
Okay, so we know in our community, high blood pressure shows up earlier and it hits harder. Everyone can do this. No prescription, no equipment, just pick a bedtime and stick with it.
Doable. Very doable.
Doable.
Falling drug prices for seniors. Why do I get this one? I guess the end of that clip didn't need to be in there, but y'all know what we talking about. It's doable,
Right.
as Lila
Okay,
said in there.
I got to say this though. That girl wearing them hats and them glasses. I'm sorry. That girl.
That girl got on a hat and
That
some
was, that
glasses.
was one of my favorites. That hat was one of my favorites. by the
Yeah.
I
way.
know you like
The
some
pill
Dr.
box.
Mel.
The pill
The
box.
pillbox hat is the best. Is the best.
Yeah.
So I've gotten inspired, and like I got on the Scully today, right? It's starting winter.
It's the winter
It's-
look.
Get
It's the winter look. I'm growing
Scully
in the
hoodie
beard.
look. Got it.
I got the hoodie on, and I got the Scully on.
Yeah, man.
So
Absolutely.
Lila, can I get a hat endorsement?
Yeah, let's see what we can do. Let me see what
Let's
we can work
talk.
out.
Let's talk. I'm at the beginning of my journey here.
Okay.
But no, important, man. People don't
Yeah.
realize how important sleep is.
Right.
your-
Yeah, and for high blood pressure and a host of other things. I mean, not to mention Parkinson's, dementia, all sorts of neurologic problems, diabetes, heart
Wow.
health. I mean,
Mhm.
sleep is so crucial. You know, we talk about the 5 self-health actions all the time. Sleep is, one of those 5, and it is, the sleep hygiene. We talked about, getting to bed at a regular hour, but what are those things that we need to do leading up to our bedtime in terms of cutting down the blue light?
Right.
And I know my husband will pull me up on that. Um, cutting down on the blue light before we go to bed, cutting it out at least an hour ahead of time, not eating at least 3 hours before we lie down, not thinking that alcohol is a sleep aid, because it's not.
Right.
It actually does the opposite. It disrupts our sleep and actually, not allow us to go through the normal cycles of sleep that we need to get to that deep REM sleep, etc., where most of our brain cleansing and detox takes place. So,
Mhm.
alcohol is not a sleep aid. And just having a wonderful little bedtime routine that helps signal your body, cutting the lights down low, maybe reading a book, listening to soothing music, those kinds of things that like put us our body in the mood and signal our body, hey, it's time to go down for the night, and starting to do those at a regular time so that you can fall asleep at a regular time. All that stuff makes a difference.
The 5 self-help actions. What are they? Is that 5 of them, Dr. Mel?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Is that the
I am
5
here.
self-help actions?
No, the 5 self-health actions are, what we eat, what we put in our bodies. So eating and water, staying well hydrated. That's 1 and 2. Then movement or exercise, getting 150 minutes a week at minimum of movement and exercise. Sleep. So we talked about that extensively. And what I consider the most important, which is managing the stressors in our life, because we are hit with them every day. So to keep our
Yeah.
cortisol levels from going up and allowing our bodies to heal and regenerate every day, we have to manage those stressors through things like meditation, prayer, walking, hobbies, singing, all those things that help us to stay in the moment and not feel overwhelmed by life.
Wow. So those are the 5 self-health actions. And they can be found in, excuse me, doctor, I've got what? The book.
Indeed.
Right. The book right over. We'll get it up. We'll get it
There
up.
it is.
There we go.
So we got
there
a
we go.
question. We got a question. Because
Oh,
on the producer shows, we can ask questions in the middle of Dr. Mel. We
whenever.
have total.
Yeah.
So
At
we
any
have a
point.
question from Michelle Walker Scales. I don't know if you know, but she's asked, how much REM REM sleep do we need?
Yeah, so the 4 stages of sleep are at least on average about 90 minutes. So REM is one of those 4 stages of sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. And in each of them plays a role, as I mentioned, in um, allowing the fluid that surrounds our brain that to drain and get rid of the toxins that are accumulated during the day. So 4 times an hour and a half is 6 hours. So if you tack on the amount of time that it takes to fall asleep and the amount of time it takes to wake up, that's how we get to the recommended 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night.
Wow. Did not know that.
I didn't either.
Did not
There you
know
have
that.
it.
And Yvonne Smith asks, what are some sleep aids, Dr. Mel?
Well, I don't really like to recommend specific things on the program. What I really want to focus on is sleep hygiene. And if those sleep hygiene actions don't work, the things that we talked about, cutting out alcohol, eating, more than 3 hours before bed, having a bedtime routine. I also didn't mention having a cool, dark room when possible. That also aids in sleep. If those things aren't working for you, then talk with your doctor about, maybe some short-term options. Some people like herbal options. If the herbal options don't work, then thinking about evaluations, perhaps for maybe reasons why you might not be sleeping. Like many people may have sleep apnea and not know about it. So I think at that point, if the normal things aren't working, have a consultation with a healthcare professional to talk about what are some other options for you, and are there things that you health conditions that you need to be aware of that might be impeding your sleep.
And that's important.
It is important. And this is, I just, while you were talking, Dr. Mel, I was thinking, I have been doing really well with my regular sleep schedule lately. But I am so excited about going to sleep these days because one of my supplements is giving me crazy dreams, but like a movie. Like every night is a movie in my
Wow.
sleep. I know.
That's fun.
It's so fun. It's like crazy adventure action films. In my
I
sleep
have those every
night.
once in a while, but not like every night.
Yeah, like the last 10 nights I've had like
Wow.
action.
You should wake up and journal them and then turn
I
them into
know I
movies.
should. I should,
Wow.
Dr. Mel. I should
Do
start
you?
writing them down.
Yeah, I don't have those. I have
No.
concerts.
Oh, of course you do.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Of course you do. As a
Concerts.
musician.
Right? Wake up singing some song I need to learn.
There you go. There you
Right.
go.
Right. So
Well, cool. So what we got next?
So we talking about high blood pressure, but we're talking about going to see the doctor. You just mentioned going to see the doctor. So they can provide you with some short-term things. But that's what people aren't doing. They are not going to the doctor.
They're not going to the doctor.
Especially people who have smoked in the past or recent past, or they're not going to the doctor to get screened. And really it's us, it's Black men.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the next clip is just about that. Check it out.
Killer in the United States. Black men have the highest lung cancer death rate in America, about 37% higher than white men, and Black women too die disproportionately from lung cancer. So low screening rates are costing families lives of their loved ones, especially in Black families.
So who should be getting screened?
So it's all former and current smokers between the ages of 50 and 80, especially if you smoked or are still smoking for 20 years or more. You should be talking to your doctor about getting screened with a CAT scan or a CT scan of your lungs. If everybody eligible was screened, there would be 60,000 more lives saved. That's mind-boggling.
60,000 more lives saved. That's
And we were talking
amazing.
about being empowered, right? Empowered when it comes to, the prevention that you can do, the behaviors you can choose in terms of your sleep time, but also,
Mhm.
like you said, being proactive about making those appointments and going to see your doctor. Some people just don't know that if you were smoking or that you even quit 20 years ago, but you have more than 20 years of smoking history when you were smoking, that you should be getting screened, right? And
Yeah.
so, really important, we want to get that information out there so that you can tell a loved one, look, please go to your doctor, get that CAT scan every year, because that's something that's been found to save lives.
Indeed.
Indeed. We have a question. Once again,
Mhm.
if a person has a chronic condition like high blood pressure or diabetes, going to the annual is probably not enough times to see the doctor. That's what the annual visit
That's
is probably
absolutely
not
right.
enough. Right?
That's absolutely right. If you have a chronic condition that you are co-managing, you should be co-managing it with your
Mhm.
healthcare provider, with your doctor.
Mhm.
So, for example, diabetes, you should be going every 3 months, once a quarter,
Yep.
to get your labs checked, to have your foot exam, to get your eye exam. Your doctor, your primary care doctor, should be helping you to identify those visits that you should be getting with him or her, plus with specialists. With high blood pressure, you need to be monitoring your high blood pressure at home and also seeing your physician regularly so that they can, again, check your heart, your blood pressure, check your kidney function, as well. So, that those visits should be happening more than once a year if you have an ongoing health condition. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great point, whoever made that.
Hey,
Yvonne.
Yvonne made
All
that,
right. Thank
huh?
you, Yvonne.
Yeah. So that brings me to something that we talk about sometimes, and we're talking about our favorite shows, right? Uh and a lot of our favorite shows, well, my favorite shows are when we just get to talk to Dr. Mel, right? When
Yeah.
it's just her, Lila, myself talking to Dr. Mel. And one of them down that you mentioned, hey, go and see your doctor a lot, is what happens when you get into a hospital visit, right? How
Right.
to
Mhm.
survive. And Lila brought this up to me, sent this clip to me specifically about how to survive a hospital stay. So let's go to it.
Family to stay actively involved in their care.
Well, hospitalization is a major life event, even if it's something minor, right?
Mhm.
And hospitals are very complex places, a lot of stuff going on at any particular time. Communication is crucial between the doctors, the patients, the families, the nurses, the hospital staff. It's really critical for the success of the individual patient. And when it's done seamlessly, when it's done well, it leads to healing and it can be life-saving. But it always doesn't go smoothly, right? Actually, unfortunately, nearly 25% of hospital patients experience a preventable safety event, whether it's a medication error, a fall, or an infection. And communication breakdowns are often the leading cause of why these things happen. I told you the story about my dad that, illustrates the need for not just clear communication, but family vigilance. And so I always recommend staying vigilant, being a communicative family member or communicative friend, and keeping a list of medications and doses that the person is on, taking notes, confirming orders or changes to orders with the care team, especially at times of handoff. So, like when one doctor is leaving the service and another doctor is coming on, right? Those times are critical. Or when the person is leaving the hospital, right? That's another transition time when it's really important to make sure that all those I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And then even doing things like checking the label on your ID band and your medications,
Right.
you know, or just asking the nurse to make sure that they double check if they missed that spot.
Can you ask that? Well, should people feel like they're offended by that? I mean, you know, some people won't ask because they feel like I don't want to offend anybody, right? Because I'm scared.
I get it. But 1 in 4, 25% of the time, there's some error, whether it's minor, whether it's major. So would you rather be the recipient of being an error, you know, in care, or would you rather potentially offend somebody? And I think there's a way to do it.
You heard the doctor.
I think there's a way. I think there's a way to. I think there is a way to ask for safety without being offensive, because
Right.
everybody knows that you're there because you're looking out for your loved one, right? So I think there's a way to say, hey, could you just double check that ID bracelet for me? Or could you tell me again what the name of that medication is? Is that the same one that the doctor talked to me about this morning? You know, there's a way to do it where you're not being confrontational,
Sure.
where you're just, you know, making it clear that you're there to advocate for your loved one.
Wow. So turning over tables, turning over
Not
turning
so
over the tray
effective.
cart, turning over everything that we got in the hospital, cussing at the nurses is not the best way.
No, definitely not. The squeaky wheel does get the most oil, but not the wheel that cusses.
The wheel that cusses get
I'll
security
say be
called on them.
squeaky, but don't go cussing. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
the
good.
wheel that cusses
They get
get
security.
called.
They get security called on them. Yeah, exactly.
Security. Yeah. That's interesting. So getting back to seeing your doctor, we had a friend of mine, actually a colleague, a boss of mine come on the show and actually discuss her healthcare journey. So sometimes our guests are, I got to give our guests so much credit because they are vulnerable. They come on and are vulnerable, and they share their journey. And you know, I came from an era where you went to the hospital, you ain't tell anybody anything. Like, he came up, what's wrong with him? He doesn't seem to have his arm no more. I don't know. Nobody talked about it.
Right.
Nobody talk about it. It is kind of, but
Right.
now, you know, people are sharing their journeys, and
It's amazing. Yeah.
it's amazing. And we gotta give a shout out to Shanice Wilson,
Yes.
who came on and shared her breast cancer journey. So let's go to that clip.
Before your cancer diagnosis, how has life changed for you since your cancer diagnosis in terms of choices that you make and things that you think about that you might not have thought about before?
I'm just starting to like get my joy back. You know,
Yes.
it's so hard to talk about it. I'm about to tear up a little bit, but when you get a cancer diagnosis, it's devastating. It's frightening.
Yeah.
And but you know what? I want to say this. God put angels in my life. Like, I have the best like support system. And when I feel like I'm falling apart, I have certain people that I'll call, that'll pray with me, that will get like okay, my mom, for instance. My mom, she's had lung cancer before. She never had breast cancer, but she had lung cancer. And when they told her she had cancer, she said, okay, what do I do next? And they're like, we're going to remove it. She said, okay. She went in, had the surgery. I never heard her talk about it again. like her faith is so strong that she didn't let it ruin her entire life. You know, she was like, I'm going to be fine. I'll just get it removed. And she just kept it moving. And so my mom, when they first said they wanted to remove my breast, I was devastated. Like I was like, remove my breast. And my mom was like, girl, if that's going to save your life, take that, remove that breast, you know. And she made me laugh about it. And I was like,
Mama wisdom.
yeah, she was like, girl, you'll wake up with some perky, some new breasts, you know, they'll be sitting up and, you know. So I was like, I didn't think about it that way, you know. So like my mom, like my husband, I have like friends, like as a friend of mine, she's also an herbalist, but I talk to her all the time, and she helps me when I'm like falling apart. And I just have like, God put some really good people in my life, because to be honest with you, I think the fear of it is the hardest part. It makes, when I tell you, it's the I've never felt this afraid as long as I've been on earth. It's frightening. And then you hear so many other stories. This person died, and that person died, and this, you know. And but God is good, like, because of my faith and the people that I have around me, it's helped. But I spent a whole year of being frightened. I can't say that it's been the best year as far as like my mental health goes, because it's yeah, I don't wish this on my worst enemy anybody to ever go through this. I don't wish this on anybody.
Yeah.
But I want to say this: God is good. Before I'm in New York doing my musical. Before I came, I had my breast examined, and I had my blood work done. I'm cancer free, and I'm
that clip is just so rich with so many things. But let me first say, she had on her 44 sweatshirt. That's the name of the musical she's in. Everybody needs to go see that musical. It is hilarious. It is so good. The singing and the performing is off the chain. That's the first thing I wanted to say. And another thing I wanted to say too is she was so vulnerable and so open, partly because that cancer diagnosis was new to her. It had happened like that was kind of like the year anniversary. And we just did that show in Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. So she's still like new with this diagnosis, and to have the bravery and the courage to come on and share her journey with us like that was amazing. And she also talked about mental health, just like we talked about in the friendship clip, about how important it is to be able to talk and unburden yourself to other people. She talked about the role of the angels in her life. And that's really like having that community is so important to whatever we're going through. And she, you know, underscored that, I think, so beautifully in that clip.
Lila, you were about to say something?
No.
Oh, yeah. I just, you know, I thank her for coming on. It's one of my favorite episodes. I think everybody enjoys that episode. Not just to see her triumph, you know, that she is now cancer free. It's tough to talk about. It's tough me thinking about it, right? You know, it's just tough for me to think about it. It is.
But when you performed with her,
mm-hmm.
at the end of her performance, she brought up breast cancer and the importance of going to get screened, right? So
there we
she's
go
using,
mm-hmm.
She's using her platform to empower and, you know, uplift other people. And a lot of times, you know, that's a wonderful way of coping with your fear, is turning it into purpose, right?
Yeah.
And she's doing that too. So, you know, kudos to her for that. And, you know, I think too, you know, how important it is to have somebody on the other end who can listen and support you in your circle of angels, but also having doctors and nurses in the profession who are empathetic, who can understand your background and where you come from, and you as an entire person, and how important representation is,
Oh,
right? In this in medicine and in healthcare in general. And we've had this whole thing with I didn't even intend to talk about this, but this whole thing about declassifying nurses as a profession and the impact that that potentially is going to have on representation, because people from historically underrepresented backgrounds, from poorer backgrounds, are not going to have the funding available to them if you declassify nursing as a profession, right?
Right.
yeah.
And I
So-
think
Mhm.
yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
I mean, I'm just two things come to mind. One is men don't necessarily, um, come out and tell their stories. And don't necessarily tell people when their mental health is bad. Like men don't share that stuff, and it's hard to get it out of men. Second thing is that we have a question, and apparently, what are the guidelines? There are guidelines regarding what factors determine low risk cancer screening, right? And somebody wants to know what factors determine that low risk cancer screening.
I'm not sure I follow the question, because there are different guidelines for different cancers.
Okay.
Are you specifically talking about what we
That's
talked about
it.
with the lung
I
cancer
just
screening,
said
or
that.
the
Probably
okay?
they're
No,
probably
I'm
talking about
asking them
lung
to
cancer.
clarify it in the chat,
Okay.
and we
I
can
will.
get back to it. Yeah.
We'll get back.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
yeah,
Continue.
well, I was actually teeing up the next clip
Where are you?
when I was talking about representation.
They're talking about lung cancer. I'm sorry, they just cleaned it up. Lung cancer.
Oh,
Lung
okay.
cancer.
All
Right.
right, good. So, well, for lung cancer screening, um, the risk for screening is determined by your smoking history. So it's 20 years of smoking, whether that is current or whether it's in the past. And if you're a smoker, you should talk with your doctor as to whether you meet the criteria for the low dose CT scans, which would be happening yearly between the ages of 50 and 80, in terms of looking for specifically screening for lung cancer.
Okay.
So that's what that screening clip referred to.
Okay. But go ahead and continue to tee up the next clip about.
Well, we're just talking about representation, and I think
Right.
that's what this next doctor, who was one of my favorite guests, Dr. Russell Aday, was talking about. He did that 15 white coats picture that went viral, and I think he's talking about here, what his motivations were for doing that, and it really sort of helped to underscore the importance of representation in medicine, and make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I always remember July 2019. July 2019, my daughter was out of school. It was just me and her, and my best friend, who also had gotten his PhD with me at NYU School of Medicine, had come down to visit me in New Orleans. And when you go to an HBCU, you have a different level of appreciation for Black history. And I knew about the Whitney Plantation and was really interested in visiting it. So my daughter and I and Philip, now Dr. Thomas, all went to visit it in July. And on our way back, I'll never forget my daughter. She was 8 years old at the time. She's 14 now, so that was 6 years ago. She said, "Dad, we've come a long way." And this is an 8-year-old. And she was like,
Right.
"Yeah, Dad,
Wow.
we've come a very long way." And I was like, who is we, and what are you talking about? Because I was kind of confused. She was like, Dad, like, we're riding in this car right now, and there's like 2 doctors in this car, and they're black men, and like we just came from a place when like we weren't allowed to read, and we weren't allowed to engage in education, and I was like, wow, like if an
Smart little
8-year-old
girl.
can recognize that, yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
if she can recognize that, how much more can the world recognize it if we just give them a display? So I came back and I talked to a couple of my colleagues, some of the very colleagues who were in that photo, Carrie Crook, Rachel Turner, Sydney Labat, who are all now physicians in their own right, an OBGYN, a family medicine physician, and an anesthesiologist, respectively. And was like, hey, man, like, you know, I think we can go take these photos in all black with our white coats on and show the world, in spite of systemic systems and oppressive systems that had no intention for us to ever don those white coats, we can do that. Like we got what it takes to do that. And we went and we did it. December 19th, 2018, we went and took those photos. And I think if you were to talk to any of us, we can all remember what that moment felt like.
Mm-hmm.
We can all remember.
Wow.
Yeah, I definitely remember what that.
That's your
moment
favorite show,
felt
Lila?
like.
I can't hear you. I can't.
One
hear
of
you.
them. I was muted.
Is the intern? Oh,
Yeah.
thought you gonna play that
The
daggone
intern
intern.
flew to LA and turned my mic off.
That intern is everywhere. So yeah, I love that show too. And I love that photo. I love what it represents. I love, you know, the connection that he talked about his 8-year-old, you know, talking about, you know, where we had come from, and then, you know, him conceiving of that photo to really highlight the importance of representation. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That was a great show. Doctors like him just make me feel like you can have any kind of conversation. And that's why representation is so important in healthcare, because he really opens it up for a real conversation.
Right. And he also, I think, didn't he also talk about, you know, the difficulty sometimes that we as Black doctors have in maintaining our confidence and
Yes.
showing up in the system, and that there are barriers along the way, and the very people that help us are probably the ones that the rest of the world might discount.
Wow.
Right.
Let's
Yeah.
go to that clip.
You got to
Challenges
remember
along
too,
the
Lila.
way.
Yeah, you got to remember this too, like that, like we exist within a system that has some unfavorable environments for us.
Sure.
On a regular basis. I have more cultural and mental proximity oftentimes to janitorial services, the people working in the cafeteria,
Unit
the people
secretaries.
working at the front desk than I do to my colleagues.
Sure.
They give me the head nod, they hand me the peppermints, they give me a little extra food when I go to the cafeteria. They tell me, look, pick your head up, you belong here. They the ones who catch you on overnight shift. They're like, no, baby. Listen, let me pray for you real quick. I never forget this. I was an intern, and there was this janitor, an old lady. She was cleaning up one of the floors that I was walking on, and she was like, baby, I see you walking with your head down. She was like, first of all, pick your head up. She was like, walk with your head high. She was like, you belong here. She handed me some peppermints. She was like, now when you get sleepy, take one of these peppermints, it'll wake you up. She's like, the other thing, give me your hand. And she prayed for me. Wow. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Because I understood that she understood what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't need to tell her. She already knew what time it was.
Right.
So you about to start the waterworks here.
I know.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, he humanizes doctors, right? You know, and I think that's important too for patients to realize that doctors are human. It's part of the whole interaction, right? But yeah, no, the people that sometimes the world might discount most are the ones that helped us through the most, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's somebody asked, what's the doctor's name? He's Dr. Russell Leday. Look him up. Actually, look up our show. Go through our, wherever you see us, go through our history and check out that show. It happened in April, I believe, March or April
Of this year. Yeah. Ledet, Ledet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, just it's doctors talking about doctors. Speaking of which, I want to go back to Shanice because we had a really powerful doctor on talking about
and she wraps up in one like quote everything that we've covered here on the show today. So yeah. Dr. Leonard, anything to add?
I would say, be where your feet are. We can't control the past. We can only control where we are and move forwards. So, it's okay that you missed 8 years. We don't blame you, and you shouldn't blame yourself at all. And the fact that you are willing to be here at such a tender time when it's all so new and fresh is really amazing, and it's to be applauded. Talk, you're doing a thing that so many people are afraid to do. Speak to each other, speak to your doctor, advocate. And if we won't listen to you, fire us and get somebody else. Yes. Representation matters. We need more brown faces out there that look like us. They understand our experience. They understand our cultural fears. They understand what we're facing. And they understand the particular challenges that you face as a Black woman with breast cancer or a Black man with breast cancer. Right. But just be where your feet are, be open and willing to talk, fight for yourselves, fight for those you love, and then we just move forward with grace and with dignity.
Right. And when you said cultural
wow.
I love that.
It's a quote I have on a lot of my social platforms. Be where your feet are.
Yes. And that was in response to Shanice expressing regret that she had not gotten breast cancer screening earlier. And the answer was be where your feet are. Don't look back. And I just thought that was beautiful because not only did she talk about that, she talked about mental wellness, she talked about advocacy, she talked about community, she talked about representation in medicine. She talked about everything that we've covered, here in the show today with our various clips. I think it's a great place to wrap up. I can't believe we're at time already. This has just flown past. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, of course, Wayne and Lila. All the guests we have, Be Health Empowered family. Remember, be wise, be well, and be health empowered.
I like that.